No regrets.
We regret nothing. Zero, zip, nada.
No regrets. No regrets.
I swear that every time I see Kim Jong Il, whatever the hell his name is, with the little hair
Kim
sticks and the
Jong-un.
flowers and his little, his painted, his French tips, I just get so excited. I just want to go play with my nail polish and my makeup. I just love that whole drag thing with the presidents and the vice and then the North Korean leader.
Yes. Oh my God.
I just get so excited when I see it because I'm like, well, damn, they look awfully pretty. Maybe there's hope for the rest of us.
And yeah, I saw that when I was putting it together. I'm like, oh my God, that's perfect.
Fucking
How
love
many
it.
world leaders can I find?
I know. We did just have an intro of just that with the
Just
music.
that.
One
Because
after
there
the
was
other.
a lot more, but I chose the most controversial ones.
I love them. And hey, President Obama there is looking really fly, and
He
him and
looks like
Michelle kind of
Michelle.
resemble. Yes, he does.
Yeah. But I'm sure you've heard that rumor.
Yes, I have. Oh my God. All right. Well, hey y'all, how you doing? We're here tonight. ARWENA activated. We got some things to talk about. Again, I just want to thank everyone real quick for their incredible support, and y'all have been there for me, and I just love y'all so much. And so any of y'all miss Sugar and Spice, well, thank you. Thank you. Y'all know what we're talking about, and I just so appreciate it. So all right, let's get to the haze, shall we?
Yes.
Hello, Jester.
Oh my darling, you were first.
He was. He's although Sensei will probably take issue with that.
Yeah.
But hey, Jester. And hey, Snortapoopus Cuber.
Hey, Snorty.
Favorite polar bear on YouTube. And we've got Low Spec Linux laptop with the penguin. Good to see you tonight. And I am there. There we go. There we see it. Sensei,
there he is.
story
There
time.
he is.
First, no matter what the liars think.
I think he meant to say first, no matter what the druids say.
Oh, okay. Wait, did somebody say Jester? Did somebody say Druid? Okay, we got you. Hey, y'all. And we've got my nephew, y'all. Martin in the house.
Hey, Martin.
Yes, he says, Happy Pride Month. Subject seems Subject matter seems interesting. I've been affected by toxic masculinity on both sides of the aisle. Laughing my ass off. Yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight. And
Mhm.
we're going to see what we're going to delve the world and see what we can decide. And Psycho Dwarf 9. Hello.
Hello, Psychodorf.
And we've got Pat S. Hey, Pat. Good to see
Hey,
you.
Pat.
Louise Sparrow. She says, Hail, Arwena.
Louise. Louise.
Louise. And I think I might have got, oh, nope. Hey, Whitechapel.
Hey,
Hey,
Whitechapel.
hey, hey. How are
Mhm.
you? Martin says, can visit a drag show at S4 here in Dallas. It's fun. Well,
Mm.
Atlanta is one of the premier drag spots. That's where RuPaul got his start, was here in Atlanta. Massive subculture drag scene. Massive in Atlanta. Matter of fact, y'all, I used to work at a high fashion photography studio as the makeup trainer for several stores here, about 7 stores. And I was also in charge of kind of the hiring and the firing of the makeup artists. Well, firing, that was really up to the manager. But people would come in, they would apply, I would screen them, suggest it, and say, yeah, we need someone. They would say, okay, and then I'd train them. We actually had several people that were working as drag queens, professionally, and this was their day job. So yeah. All right. If I missed anyone, sorry, y'all. I'm a little motor mouth tonight.
I'm sorry. I just looked at Jester's comment at 2 baby.
Yes, et tu. Yes, et tu. Yes, she's gonna et tu you. Yes. Very Druish of you, Jester. Very Druish of you. Pointing the finger. The Druid thing to do. All right.
I'm
So,
sorry.
oh my
I'm
God.
sorry. I just read
Say,
Project Story.
yeah, I was watching a show
It's
on that
never too
today.
soon. It's never too soon.
Yeah, I had no idea, and I don't know how I feel about this. And just real quick, let's segue since this is kind of a topic. Um, okay, I learned it was one of those subs that takes people down to view the Titanic.
It was a submersible. I can't even talk tonight.
Submersible,
Submersible.
submersible, and it's one of those where you pay something like $2,500 per person. You
Oh,
go
no, honey, it was
down.
way more than that.
More okay. Was Adam. See, I can't even fathom how much it costs. I just can't even.
Like 25,000 maybe, but not
Oh my
2,500.
God. Okay, so that makes me feel even all right. Which I have no problem if it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, and someone's charging for something and you want to pay it to do it. That's spend your money how you want. I do not gatekeep people's money. I just don't. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, on one hand, yes, it is a graveyard, and people do go to grave sites to visit and pay their respects. But on the other hand, as much as the Titanic fascinates me and the ocean fascinates me, and I would love to actually see it in person, I just don't know how I feel about that.
Two and
I
a half
just,
hours to get there and 2.5 hours to get back.
yeah, I'm like, let it rest. Let it, we've learned,
Mhm.
we've gotten what we can from it. We've learned from it. It's sort of like, what is the one out there in Hawaii? And maybe it's no different than that. Is it the
Oh,
Anderson?
the Wisconsin or
Yeah.
Arizona, Arizona.
Arizona. I knew it was an A where
But
they
that's
go and
different because that's actually in the port, and
yeah,
all they did
yeah,
was
okay.
build a memorial over it, and you can see it
You're,
lying
you're
because,
not going
I
down
mean,
into
it's
like
right there. You're not
it's
going down into it. You don't kinda have to, so.
yeah, kind of those waters are kind of sacred now. And I don't know. I just have mixed feelings about it. But they were
Well,
talking about it on the news.
these are
So,
my feelings on that
oof.
real quick. Yeah. Yeah, that's 25,000 because she said 2,500, but yeah,
Yeah, my
like
my bad. Oh
200,000.
my
Yeah,
God.
it's a lot of money. But
Hey,
the whole thing about
Squeaka.
that really quick, just to get off
Hey,
topic
Keely.
for just a second,
Okay.
the whole thing with that is, and there's video evidence of this, y'all. If you look at the owner of the company who is now deceased, he said that he wasn't going to hire anyone with experience to operate these because everyone with experience was a old white male. And he wanted to hire
Okay.
young people, non-white males in their early to mid 20s. and he went out and bought a gaming controller to operate these submersibles. So you
Oh
have
my God.
a
What?
store-bought gaming controller to operate this vehicle, and you have someone that has little to no experience diving down 2.4 miles. Yeah, what do you think is eventually going to happen? So while I
Yeah.
do feel sorry, and again, there is video evidence of this out there where he is on stage on a panel and he says that. I do. My heart goes out to the families of these people
Oh, yeah.
because a loss of life is never something to be celebrated. But when you look at it, they kind of had it coming to them.
That just and yeah,
I
and
mean,
Psychodorf, I
yeah,
agree with you. It's a mass casualty grave. Leave it
yeah,
be. I kind of Oh, hey,
exactly.
T-shirt. Oh, he says, "Oh shit, we talking toxic mess." We are. We are.
Mhm.
And Martin says, to be fair, controllers are often used for stuff like that, but he also didn't spend the money for a locator beacon. Well, the
Yeah.
guy cut corners. And look, companies
This
can hire whoever the hell they want. Hey, Apollomies.
Mhm.
But if you are saying, look, I am purposely not going to hire this group of people because of XYZ, and if that is the pool where the most competent people are for the job, you are
Yeah.
sabotaging yourself.
I don't care who you are. If you are qualified for the job,
It's got yeah.
regardless of race or gender, you should get the job. If you're not qualified, you don't get the damn job.
Right. I agree with
But
that.
and to go back with what he said, yes, controllers are used, but typically they're controllers bought from companies specifically designed for a submersible or for whatever type of vehicle you're using, not one that you went to Best Buy and picked up off the shelf.
Mhm.
So, difference.
So there you go. That's a freebie tonight, y'all. That's our
Yeah.
take on it. I think it's, although I understand the desire to want to view such an incredible piece of history,
Mhm.
because the Titanic is an incredible piece of history. It changed a lot, I think, of maritime law on how
Mhm.
ships are built and safety and all that kinds of stuff. So we learned from that mistake. That is one mistake we can point at and go, yep, got to have enough lifeboats. Don't
Mhm.
cut corners, all this good stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But I get that urge of wanting to see it because it is fascinating. It's one of my whenever I hear something Titanic, ooh, I want to look at it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it is a mass grave. It is kind of it's very voyeuristic, which bothers me. And the guy cut corners big time.
Mhm. Big time.
Not good when you're going to the floor of the ocean. Just saying. 2.5 hours down and 2.5 hours up.
Mhm.
No. Oh, hey, old fart.
Hello there.
Hey.
And Archer Collin, did we say hi to him?
Yes. Well, I highlighted him. Hey, Archer.
Okay. All right. So toxic
All right.
masculinity. Let's get on topic.
All right. I'm going to read y'all the definition. I would share it, but it'll probably really be, I'll share it anyway, but it's probably going to be really tiny. I doubt that y'all are going to be able to see it.
That's what she said.
Because it's
I'm
on my
sorry.
Google search.
I couldn't help it.
I wanted to find, you never know, the show may turn into toxic femininity. You never
Right?
know.
You never know.
This is okay. I'm just going to read you the basic definition and then we can go into what people say it is, what is it really, blah, blah, blah. Kind of give our, and then you have an article to share.
I do.
So,
It's a short article too.
all right. So the thing says, what is toxic masculinity? And I believe this is a dictionary definition from WebMD. Toxic masculinity is an attitude or set of social guidelines stereotypically associated with manliness that often have a negative impact on men, women, and society in general. The term toxic masculinity isn't meant to imply that the idea of masculinity in itself is inherently bad. So that in a
Yet it
nutshell
does.
is toxic. When you hear people talk about toxic masculinity, they're talking about an attitude or set The one problem I have with this, because yes, I do think there are some attitudes that are very toxic, and a lot of men, can succumb to that. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but the
Mhm.
problem that I have is it's an attitude, I agree, or set of social guidelines
Yeah, what?
stereotypically associated with manliness. I don't know any social guidelines in our society here, and I'll use the West, that says these things, these toxic traits are good. This is the guideline of how you should act. And that's where I think they conflate traditional male roles
Mhm.
versus stereotypically toxic social guidelines. Am I
Mhm.
off on that, or?
No, I think you're right. I think it's traditional male roles as being the head of the household, as being the breadwinner,
Mhm.
as, being the one to take out the trash and mow the grass and be the protector of the
Yeah,
home. These are things I look at as positive.
I do
But
too.
society lately looks at all of that and says, "No, that's a bad thing. You should be able to protect yourself and blah blah blah." Yeah, you should be able to protect yourself, but if you are in a relationship and you're me, for example, I
Mhm.
can take care of myself,
Mhm.
but if Jester and I are out somewhere and someone tries something, I would expect him to step forward first and handle
Right.
what needs to be handled, because that's the man's role. You know, that
Yes.
they're there to protect the woman and there to protect the children. That's their role. And I maybe it's because I'm Pentecostal, but I fully believe that the man is the head of the household and what he says is word.
And
There is
yeah.
an agreement. There is it is it's not 50-50, y'all. It's 100-100.
Yeah.
You each give 100% of yourselves.
Yes.
But
Yes.
when it comes to certain things, there are male roles and there are female roles.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
And Old Fart says social guidelines, man opens door for women equals toxic. Okay, that is a really good point.
Yeah.
A man opening a door for a woman has been conflated as toxic masculinity. I prefer the term toxic behavior because I know women, and let me tell you, maybe some of our toxicness may not in general be as forward as a man, but we can get just as down and dirty as toxic as men can. Trust me. So it's more about toxic behavior than it is necessarily toxic masculinity.
Mhm.
And
But
Martin says,
I don't think there's anything wrong with a man opening a door for a woman.
no, I don't either. I don't think that is part of toxic masculinity. I think some of that is the way men were raised, because here in the
But
South,
that's how they're
that's very
labeling it.
much a thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how they're labeling it. And that's where things are getting conflated. They're
Mhm.
conflating toxic behavior with behaviors that men do. They're
With
two
just
different things.
courtesy.
Yes, they're two different things.
Mhm.
And Martin says locker room talk is absolutely a thing, and that's not something you really experience as women. The way I'm treated as a man is completely different with other men. I can
I don't
agree with that to a
Oh,
point,
well,
but
I
I don't have a problem with men talking shit in a locker room.
I
They're
don't
not
either.
around me. They're not
Yeah.
around me because I know how I talk with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
We say things to each other about men that we may not necessarily say to their face.
Mhm.
But we're just talking. We're free. It's our space to do so. So I
Mhm.
wouldn't even label necessarily locker room as toxic masculinity. I would just say that's a
No.
bunch of guys getting together blowing off steam being men.
Mhm.
That's kind of my thing.
Yeah,
Um
and I know from my experiences, I think I've told you this before, Arwen, but when I was in high school, I ran track and played basketball, and um, you know, there is definitely locker room talk in girls' locker rooms as well, especially when you're teenagers in high school and the
yeah.
hormones are a raging. I'm pretty damn sure because I've been around men most of my life and in almost every aspect of my working life.
Uh-huh.
Every job that I've ever had except for one has been male dominated.
Right.
So eh, I've been around a whole bunch of different talk. None of it bothers me, but I
Mhm.
don't necessarily feel that any of it is toxic either.
Let's see. Martin says being a man doesn't mean you have to be misogynistic. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things today, again, conflating toxic masculinity for toxic behavior is I think some people will look
Mm-hmm.
and say, well, that man is being misogynistic. We'll use the opening door, for instance, because that comes up a lot with guys. They're like, shit,
Mm-hmm.
I tried to open this door, a door for this chick the other day, and she told me I can get my own door. Thank you. Not, hey, thank you for opening my door. I can do it. But, basically back off, bub. I'm a strong, independent woman. And to me, there's no
Eh,
need to be rude. If you don't want the man to open the door for you, then be polite about it and just tell him. But they're like, fuck, you got these women biting our heads off because we're opening doors.
then you
I'm
have
not
these
being
other women that want the
misogynistic.
door to be open for them.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not saying they can't open their own door. It's just always been a courtesy thing. And
Mm-hmm.
particularly with, Gen X and up, that's the way we were raised.
Yeah.
And I have not, I've thought about that, and I'm like, okay, is there any way I was raised being, being in the South where where any behavior that I'm used to is really chauvinistic or is really, misogynistic, like a man opening the door of a car,
Mm-hmm.
coming around and opening for his, female friend, or opening the door, or, if a man asks you out on a date, paying for dinner. I don't see where any of these things are where
Issue.
he's telling her, you're less than, I think you're less than you are. That's
Yeah. None of that.
misogyny. Yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
man who thinks a woman is less than he is just on the fact that she's a woman. Not
Mm-hmm.
saying that there aren't misogynistic behaviors. Obviously there are,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Now
but
I
I agree
can.
with the statement.
Yeah, I can say from experience. And hello, Chris Persia. Hello, Squeaka.
Hey, and
Uh,
hey, Phil.
Maddie's daddy. Das Wolf, and I see all y'all in there. Hello,
Thank you,
everybody.
Phil.
Phil. Um, I know
Hey,
from
Pat.
experience. Again, from working primarily
Claude.
in male-dominated fields. Um, all my life, and y'all know I'm in my mid 40s. And all that time working around all those different men, there has been one occurrence that I could honestly say it would be considered toxic masculinity or misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I was in the Marine Corps, and there was a staff sergeant and I was a corporal at the time. And he came to work on with our squad, our team,
Mm-hmm.
and he immediately made the comment that he didn't want to be there because he doesn't believe women should be in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And he treated me like shit for the 2 months that he was there. And then he was kicked out because he was also a wife abuser.
Oh, bye.
So he was an all around shitty person.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that is toxic behavior.
Hmm.
He had definitely
Yeah.
had toxic behavior.
But at the same time, that is misogyny when you have when you have
Oh,
a
yeah.
man tell you, I don't think women should be in the Marine Corps. To
Absolutely.
me, that was like, dude, I fucking did the same shit you did in boot camp.
Yeah,
What
you're
the
like, "I
fuck,
earned my spot here. I earned my
I
spot."
absolutely earned it. I do the same shit that you do. The
Yeah.
exact same shit that you do, probably more, motherfucker. But that is the only time in the entirety of my life that I have dealt with any type of misogyny or toxic masculinity. And again, I've always worked in male dominated fields. So,
Okay. All right,
yeah.
I wanna address this. Martin says, "I feel that it's a straw man and ignoring the real issues of actual toxic masculinity, which is expectations of men to have, I can't speak tonight, misogynistic viewpoints. Some men do have misogynistic viewpoints, but my problem with the way toxic masculinity is being handled today is that all men have misogynistic viewpoints, and that is just not true.
It's not.
And we have to be able to define the terms. There is toxic behavior, which people would call toxic masculinity, but they conflate just men doing, and I'm sorry, but yeah, a man holding a door for a woman is doing a nice thing. And particularly in the South, you know how that is. You were raised in the South. They're conflating that with all men being misogynistic, and that is just bullshit. And again, if we're going to have a discussion, we're not just going to have a discussion of one side saying, this is toxic. These toxic men, they do all this shit. They need to be stopped. They need to be evil. Blah, they're evil, blah, 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 blah. And not have the other side say, okay, hold on. I want to have a conversation with you. I want to know what is real toxic masculinity. I don't want it conflated. I don't want any SJW viewpoint. I don't want any uber conservative viewpoint. I want to know what the truth is. And there are some things men get dogged on, which is bullshit. If we're going to let women be women, then by God, we need to let men be men. I'm not talking about, aggressive behavior towards women because we're women. I'm not talking about grapey people, and I'm saying that for YouTube's sake, but I think all y'all know what I mean when I say grapey. I'm not talking about men grabbing women's asses out of the blue. I've had that happen to me, and that is not fun. I'm not talking about men making women uncomfortable because they don't want to take no for an answer. And I'm not even talking about the sex. I mean, if a man asks you out on a date, if a man wants your phone number, wants your email address, and you say no, and he keeps pushing, that shit is creepy.
I mean, yeah. Highlight Chris Persia real quick, and while you highlight it, I'm gonna.
Let me find it.
It's because of the feminist movement. It's gone too far, and we're not gonna get into that.
I can't
But
find
a lot of
comment.
It's right here. It's one of the newest ones.
Oh, down here.
But a lot of it is because of the feminist movement. It's gone too far.
That one.
And not only that, but they're trying to make men less masculine. And they're misconstruing what masculinity is versus misogyny. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
They're absolutely not.
Did you want to read this?
Oh, Chris said, may I ask the answer to a toxic question? If a man asks a lady where she would like to go out for dinner, but is indecisive and never makes a choice, what is he then supposed to do? Well, if he's with a woman that's open-minded and can't, isn't one of these feminist bitches, and he makes a decision, then she goes with the decision. She was indecisive. Fuck that shit. If you're indecisive, I'm going to make a call. And if you don't like the call, well, I guess you can pay for your own dinner somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, that's about the case. And Martin says, I've had supervisors expect me to comment on the butts of women because I'm a guy. That's toxic. Now, did they actually tell you, I'm sorry, but you right now have to make a comment on the butt of this woman or you're going to lose your job?
Yeah, I don't about that. Especially
or
because
they, and look, and I'm not saying people don't talk trash. We women sometimes talk about the size of guys' hands and feet.
And dicks.
Or we'll see a picture of a guy with fucking amazing abs and it's like, oh my God. I'm not saying people don't talk shit, and I'm not saying that shit doesn't get not great. But there's a difference between your supervisors jawing with you about, hey, that woman has a nice ass. I'm not saying they even should say that in a work environment. But there's a difference between that and looking at you and expecting you, well, yeah, you got to pick a woman and comment on her ass too. And what is, okay, if you think that's toxic, what is your answer? Cancel them?
Yeah.
And what is, if that's toxic, what else is on that list that's toxic? It's dangerous because this kind of stuff, I get it. Sometimes it isn't pleasant, but is it really toxic? Or is it just people just kind of being assholery, which again goes back to toxic behavior, because not all men do this.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of women do this.
A lot of
But
women.
you don't hear about that. You don't hear about the
Mhm.
shit talk and the trash talk that women can do. It's always men, and it's mostly straight white men
Yeah.
that get blasted for this. If we're being real tonight, let's be real.
And let me
It's
be the
mostly
first to
straight
tell
white
you.
men.
Let me be the first
But
to tell y'all, in case you don't know this already, women are no more innocent than men are when it comes to talking shit like that.
we're really not. And I'm not saying any of it is a good thing. I'm just saying,
It's not, but y'all know I'm a straight shooter. I could give a shit less. If if a man has now, and I've had this happen because y'all know I was in law enforcement for 18 years, and for a period of that time I was a deputy and I worked in a jail.
mhm,
Now, if we got new hires, they were in a different uniform than us, and 9 times out of 10 their pants were a little too tight for them. It was just the nature of how the pants fit.
uh-huh.
And I was one of only 2 females. There was only 2 females on each team. And, I would look at the girl next to me and say, "God, look at that print." So,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
right. Oh, hey, Adega.
"Hey, Dega."
I've had my butt grabbed by strange women far more than you have. I'll bet you $1. We've seen you, Adega. We have no doubt.
I
You
have
handsome
no doubt.
thing.
You are
No
very
doubt at
handsome, Adega.
all.
No doubt about that.
No,
But
none at
don't
all.
worry, if I ever meet you in real life, Adega, I will only give you a hug because Jester might have objections to be grabbing your ass.
Yeah. And Martin says, as a gay guy, I'm seen as lesser because of toxic masculinity as well. Guys can knit or cross stitch as well as work on cars and still be dudes. I agree, but has someone actually told you you're lesser because you're gay? And is that because of toxic masculinity, or because that person who said that to you was a douchebag?
I think it was more along the lines of the person that said it to you was a douchebag, not because of toxic masculinity. And I
Yeah,
only say that
I
because
don't,
people have their views.
you know,
Just because someone doesn't like the fact that they have to work with a gay dude doesn't mean that they're a toxic man. It could just mean that that's their hang up. They just don't like gay people.
and
That means,
that's,
and,
yeah.
and that's a completely different thing.
And see, words mean things. I could see saying bad behavior. I could actually see saying, dude, that's fucking raunchy bad behavior for you to say that to me, or for you to think that. Although, if he thinks it, at least you know. If he said it,
Uh-huh.
at least you know to avoid the guy.
And
But
hello,
toxic?
Loki
Oh, hey, Loki.
and Mr. Buttcrack Media.
Mr.
And Jester
Buttcrack
says that
Media.
Adega,
Where's
watch
Mr.
out. Jester said I could grab as much ass as I wanted to, as long as I go home with him.
I don't see Mr. Buttcrack. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. But here's the problem I have, and I have a problem. A lot of our language within the past couple of years has changed.
Hmm.
And it has not changed because it has organically evolved. A lot of the language has changed to meet ideologies. And I think the word toxic has been part of that, because a lot of the behavior, again, there is toxic behavior. But when you think of toxic, what do you think of? Something that you can't survive, something that
Hmm.
is destructive, something that will melt your face off, but in a really bad way.
Yeah.
Something that toxic. It's something that cannot and will not be accepted in society.
Hmm.
Racism is toxic. It has not been good
True.
for any society.
True racism, not
Yes,
this
it is
fake stuff that
toxic.
they make up now.
Hatred is toxic.
Hmm.
Revenge, having a resentful spirit, being revengeful against people. That is
Yeah.
toxic. That is destructive shit. Bad behavior, some of the behaviors that were like, look, okay, that's probably pretty tacky. Maybe you shouldn't do it, but I'm not going to cancel you for it. There are
Yeah.
some of those behaviors have been put under toxic behavior.
Hmm.
And it's like, why? What is your end goal to do? To wipe out everybody's, not so great behavior? And I'm not talking the toxic shit. I'm talking the not so great. You're going to cancel them and wipe them out and tell them, you are very toxic for saying this or doing this, or are you going to work with them, get to know them, and then have a conversation with them, a true conversation? I've always told my friends, if I fuck up or if I say something that's, not appropriate, tell me. And they'll come to me in good faith and love and tell me. But if I ever had anyone point to me and say, you're just toxic, I'm going to tune them right out, because that word has been taken and overused.
Yeah. And
It's
hello,
it's it's
Andrew 46 and 2.
hey. And yes, I agree. Behaviors do have effect on others. I agree. And Martin says, just because it's been done forever doesn't mean we should just okay it. I'm not saying that.
No,
I'm
we're not
saying
saying that, okay?
I'm flat out saying there are some mass behaviors that people claim as toxic masculinity that just aren't. They're just not. That's what I'm saying. And that is the problem when you have one group that defines toxic masculinity one way and another group that defines it another way. The truth actually of what it is going to be in the middle. And that's what we're trying to suss out here. What really is it? And things like opening a door for a woman.
I don't think.
That comes from a good space.
Oh, you went out there. I thought you went out.
Oh, I went out. Hey,
Yeah.
Andrew. I'm
Didn't hear
sorry,
you
y'all.
for a second.
Hey, awesome one.
No, I really think that toxic masculinity and misogyny is being misconstrued and used interchangeably, and they are not.
Yeah.
They're not.
I agree with that.
What basically everything that I hear when people talk about toxic masculinity, I look at and I'm like, that's just masculine. That's just a man being a man. Misogyny is completely different.
Yeah, I agree. T-shirt says, I love it when women, trans women too, complain about men and create this atmosphere of fear and avoidance. They then have the balls to complain because they can't get dates. I actively avoid women nowadays. I mean, it has done more to, and I have noticed this big attack on men. I haven't noticed really any, okay, women, let's get our own shit together. I haven't noticed that. And no, I do not believe all women are victims.
Oh, no.
And so I think a lot of us could stand up for ourselves and we have our own voice. So why the hell aren't we being targeted? Why is it just the men? And why is it always attacking traditional masculine behaviors? Again, they're being conflated with misogyny. And I don't see where that is getting any man to think about his own behavior. All I see is that he's pushing back against it. So it's actually having the opposite effect, I think, is what people want it to have. They want men to, acknowledge that men can have feelings. That's okay. That men can do things like, like the knitting. The knitting community is huge. And there's lots of men, gay and straight, that knit. And nobody cares because they're used to it. They understand it. Not a problem with that. Getting men to be more sensitive towards women, whether they're partners or their mothers or their sisters, or be more sensitive with other men. All of that is good. I see where that would be a very healthy thing. But I do not see we're pointing at a man and going, you commented on this woman's ass in the privacy of other men. In your own little group, you made a comment, you're toxic, I'm going to cancel you. I don't see what the hell good that does. I don't see where that is helpful, because the guy's going to be like, what are you talking about? I'm just talking with a bunch of dudes. Yeah, that's the problem. You're talking with a bunch of dudes. Would you rather be over there to the lady saying, hey, your ass looks good? No, I wouldn't. But I don't know. That's just the problem I have with it.
Yeah, and to T-shirt's comment as well. This is something I was going to say earlier, and I forgot about it. It's pretty sad when you have so many men, T-shirt included, that are avoiding dating. Henry Cavill is another one, and there's a couple of men in Hollywood as well that won't date because they are so scared that they're going to be accused of something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Exactly. And Martin says the implication is that to be a man, you must shit talk about women or ogle them or whatever. Why is that manly? I don't know that anyone who says that it is.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that says that.
Think of your dad and your uncles. They never behave that way. Think of your grandfather, your grandfathers. Did they behave that way? So your average dude is not going to sit around, in my opinion, and think it's manly to shit talk women or ogle them. Men are going to look; they're visual creatures. They may try and do it on the sly and not be obvious about it. We thank those who are like that for that.
I'm laughing at Squeaka's
But
comment.
again, some men are just shitty. Oh
Yeah.
wait, this one, okay. Squeaka says, "I avoid dating because I'm the toxic one. You're welcome." Oh my god.
Squeaka, you are in no
You
way,
know what
shape,
I
or
mean,
form
Martin. You
toxic.
know what I mean. I mean, growing up, growing up, your observations is the best way I could say it.
Mhm.
But these
Yeah,
are the
I
kind of conversations I think need to
mhm.
be had because not everyone's going to agree and not everyone's going to see it the same way. But that's why we need to look
Exactly.
at what is really toxic, true toxic masculinity, and what are the behaviors that people are saying is toxic
Mhm.
masculinity when really maybe we just need to get a spine because
Yeah.
people are going to say things in life we don't like. And it's
Yeah.
not always men.
Get a thicker skin.
I mean, sometimes
Because
it's what it comes down
people are
to.
going to say things that will hurt your feelings. And guess what? You can either suck it up, buttercup, or you can let it affect you and how you think and how you deal with life. But you can't let that shit affect you.
And
You
yeah,
get
that's
thicker
kind of where we've
skin.
gotten.
Everybody is all about feelings now. Feeling. How do you feel? I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I really don't.
I'm the marshmallow, so she's right. She doesn't. I do, but she's like, no. But
I will I
there
will
does come
put
a
it
point.
out there. Now, there are ways to say things to people. You can delicately tell someone the truth, or you could just be harsh and come right out and say it.
Yeah.
Depending on the subject and depending on who I'm talking to, will also dictate as to whether I'm going to harshly say it or gently say
Uh,
it. Let me explain
mansplain
it.
to us, counselor. Mansplain.
Yes. Oh, wise
And
Adega.
Martin has said, I felt that to be accepted by other men initially, I was expected to act a certain way based on observations of a lot of men. And I'm not saying all. And I can understand that. You were trying, yeah, to find your place in that. Okay. But at the end of the day, just be yourself. Just be yourself. And if a guy says something to you about some woman's ass and it makes you uncomfortable, either tell him, say, dude, that's not cool. I don't talk that way. Or just let it go. And if he does it again, then say it then.
Mhm.
But people
Um,
won't know if we don't say anything, but they're not going to listen to us if we scream in their faces how horrible they are and how they're going to be
yeah.
canceled. It
And
just doesn't work that way.
the next two comments are really good ones.
T-shirts.
T-shirt and Archer.
Okay. T-shirt says there's a lot of reasons for me to be a real man. I deal with a lot of young men who don't have fathers. They don't know how to be men. I try to be the best man that I can, but I do fuck up a lot.
That's human nature though.
It is human nature. And I think there are some things that are traditionally masculine that I don't think are wrong just because they're traditional.
Mhm.
That need to provide either for yourself, because a lot of men are single, or for your families.
Mhm.
The need to be strong when the the occasion calls for it. Because let's face it, there's some occasions where you just gotta, pull your big boy panties up and deal with it. And same with
Mhm.
women. We just have to
Mhm.
there's some situations we have to just deal with in our lives. That's everyone. A man to respect others, respect women, respect
Mhm.
themselves. I mean, these to me, even though they can be applied to women as well, they are traditionally masculine traits. Traditionally bleh, masculine things that men are taught to go from being young boys to healthy functioning adult men.
Mhm.
So do you want to read this one?
Yeah, Archer says what annoys me is when they complain about the toxicity of the male gaze, then have no problem with Jason Momoa or Chris Hemsworth being stripped down to the waist and showing off their muscles. Yeah, it's a
I
double
do agree with
standard.
that. I
It's a
fucking
double
agree with
standard.
that.
Yeah.
I
And then
totally agree with that.
Squeaka, people will be who they are because when they are emotional. Oh, okay. I was trying to read the small one. Emotional
Oh,
that day. It could be mean or nice. You can't control how people are. Take nothing personal and meet people where they are. Exactly. That's why I
That's
say get thicker
yeah.
skin. You can't control and don't take anything personal.
Yes, being a man, I think, is being respectful of men and women both. Right, I said that. Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's being respectful of people.
Yeah,
And I
and I'm
also say women because let's face it, particularly today, men are being told they're toxic. So I think
mhm.
paying extra attention to be respectful of women is probably not a bad thing. Like young boys taught growing up. But yes, being respectful of both men and women. I totally agree.
And I'm on board with Gun Bunny. I have a hard time dealing with guys that act like whiny girls.
Yeah, I know some.
Mhm.
I love them to death, but I know some. They can pout
Mhm.
better than any girl. And I
And
don't think there's anything wrong saying anything like that. It's another thing. Oh
mm-mm.
my God, we've gotten so picky about gender, like saying, oh, that guy acts like a whiny little girl. Oh my God, that's so you can't say that. Why not? I know why.
Why?
I was a whiny little girl. I know whiny little girls.
If he's a whiny little bitch, he's a whiny little bitch.
And I don't mean to say all women are whiny and all. I'm shit. We
Mm-mm.
just got to chill sometimes on that kind of stuff. We all get
Yeah.
the gist of what's being said.
Uh-huh.
Wendy is whiny.
Yeah, oh, God.
Wendy is whiny.
Always asking for some pennies to be thrown. Oh my gosh, Wendy.
Yeah.
Ugh. But
Martin, I think men are concentrated on due to power positions that are often held that women have to fight to get into certain company positions. I do not believe it is that way anymore as much as people say it is.
it's not.
We see
Uh,
what's going on with Disney
yeah.
and Kathleen Kennedy and her power and all her the forces female changing every
Mhm.
damn thing. We just
Bitch.
I just don't believe that anymore. And then you
No.
got the guy with
Mm-mm.
the submersible who is purposely not hiring older white guys. He wants to hire,
Experience.
young,
He doesn't want to hire experience.
experienced. And it's like, so you're going to go for the people with the least experience just because these guys are experienced in white? I mean, I think the best person should do the job. And yeah, I think women are fine. We're stepping up. We're getting into positions and workplaces that men have traditionally filled. And shit, we started breaking ceilings in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. And see the issue, and this is going to get into a little bit of a different topic, but the issue with that is not that women aren't in those positions because they just won't put them there. The issue
Mm-hmm.
is women are not in those positions because those are traditionally and generally not the fields that women go into.
Yeah.
Women go into different fields than men do. That is why you don't see as many women in these higher positions in these certain areas, like engineering.
Yeah.
Engineering is male dominated because it's just something that most women don't do. Some women do. And the women that do, typically, they they do get promoted way faster than men. I've seen this happen. I worked in construction. I saw a woman get paid a hell of a lot more than the other engineer that was there who had years of experience on her. She got paid more and got promoted faster and then had a mental breakdown and freaking walked off the job.
Mm-hmm.
But she got paid all this money and got promoted to this position because she was a woman
Yeah, it happens.
and she didn't deserve it. I don't care who you are, what your race is, what your gender is. I don't give a shit about any of that. Are you the best person for the job? That's what I
Yeah.
care about.
And there are women in power positions today that are like, well, yeah, I did it. Some deserve it, some maybe not. Some guys deserve their jobs, some guys don't.
And
But
to, Martin, you are wrong, and you're getting into history, which is something I know a lot about. It has nothing to do with other women that were able to vote. It has to do with men because men were in power and gave us that right to vote. They decided that we should be able to vote. The men, President Woodrow Wilson decided to give us the ability to vote, signed it into law. It was all men in Congress and a man president at that time, they were the ones that gave us the ability to vote
Mm-hmm.
after World War One.
Isn't he your favorite president?
God, no.
Who's your favorite president? You mentioned
Teddy
Theodore?
Roosevelt.
Yeah,
Teddy
okay, sorry,
Roosevelt.
I got this too mixed up for a moment. Okay.
A man's man. Teddy Roosevelt was a man's man. Speak softly, but carry a big stick.
And Martin says, why does no one say whiny little guys? You want to know why? Because when my daughter got her ass out of control when she was a kid and started being boisterous and just, throwing things and all that kind of shit, I told her, I didn't tell her stop acting like a whiny little girl. I told her stop acting like a damn boisterous little boy, a violent little boy. We have our own words for girls and boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like women get all the insults, whiny little girls, acting like you shoot like a girl or you hit like a girl. There's enough for boys too. Trust me. Men have their own. They have their own. Have you ever heard the what was the expression from Harry Potter that I was just like, oh my God, that's so perfect. When Hermione says to Ron, you've got the emotional range of a teaspoon.
Yeah.
Guys just being, you're being all cold and ooh, like a guy, and shake the frost off my arms with this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. Guys have their own things too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not just girls.
It's not. And Andrew 46 and 2 is correct to an extent. Maybe I'll put that up on the poll.
Maynard Keenan, the Maynard Keenan James.
No, Andrew 46 and 2, where he said women didn't want the vote.
I'm glad we have
it. Okay, yeah, we'll put that up as one of the topics that y'all can vote for next time, because that is actually an interesting topic. Women when we got the right to vote, how it came to be.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, and how people take it now. It's really interesting.
That's a good point. Do we have time to look at your article?
Oh yeah, it's really really short.
All right, we're going to share an article.
Yeah, so this is you guys know how I feel about my Steven Crowder. So
yes, of course women did something. Of course, but you're missing the point. It took both men and women to make this happen.
Yeah, and the
but
women
nobody wants to give the men credit.
And the women were not protesting during the war.
That I did not know.
They put all of it to the side.
That's interesting.
So, yeah. And concentrated on helping out during the war effort. Yep.
Hey, Steve.
Yep. Okay.
Right.
I'm
ready to share it. Here we go. Sorry. Okay. Here it is.
So, as you guys know, I absolutely love Steven Crowder. And I use him as a lot of sources because his sources do not come from right wing or anything right leaning. It all comes from mostly left wing and left leaning. But this one is actually different because it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. You guys know it's a representative down in Georgia, and she's pretty controversial herself.
Yes.
But in this article, it says the United States military has gone soft, which is true. You see it. I see it. The enemies of America can obviously see it. Everyone seems to see it except for the very people who can change it. If they did see it and they were willing to change it, what should the focus be? Marjorie Taylor Greene might have a good place to start. Speaking with whoever this person is, who is no stranger to how the military works, she pointed out the military is all but banned toxic masculinity from entering the ranks, and it is a lot of our problem. Green's on to something. If you're going to think of the best way to create a perfect can of whoop ass, you'd probably, pack as many type A personality having dudes choked up on Red Bulls or as many Army veterans as possible, rippets, as you possibly can. You wouldn't have a loosely packed crate of gender nonconforming queer boys and aversions to gluten and soft spoken pacifist personalities. These guys will lose every time, which is a lot of what our military is now. But that's toxic these days, and the military is more concerned with creating safe spaces for feelings to be expressed than creating a feared fighting force capable of violently destroying our enemies and breaking their shit. which is strange because that's the entire job of the military. Remember, and that's the recruiting commercial talking about her moms, and it's crazy, silly commercial. Um, and while I'm not the biggest Marjorie Taylor Greene fan, I wouldn't mind someone with her attitude heading up the DoD right now. If we don't get someone with the right mentality in there, we certainly won't be winning any wars soon. And this is a very, very
Mhm.
true thing. We need toxic masculinity. It is important to have what they refer to as toxic masculinity. When honestly, it's not toxic masculinity, it's masculinity. We
Right.
need a man's man. We need someone who's going to go in there and lead and say, screw you. I'm going to blow your ass up because you deserve it.
Yep. If you're talking the military, I don't care if you're gay, straight, white, black, whatever. It does not matter. If you can go in there and handle yourself like a boss, and you know when you're deployed and you're going out to protect this country, and you can handle yourself, and you can do that because you're like, yep, I've got a love for this country. I'm going to do it. Fucking yeah, we need those people. There are
Mhm.
qualifications you have to get into the military physically and emotionally, mentally.
Mhm.
And that sure as hell does not need to be dropped
Nope.
because of any kind of agendas. I mean, this is messing with people's protection, really,
Yeah.
with our protection, our autonomy as a country. A lot of it depends on our military. Oh,
Mhm.
hey, kitty. Hey, Bob.
Mhm.
Oh, Bob's
Yeah.
sneezing.
And we definitely need that masculinity and what they refer to as toxic masculinity. We need that not just in our military but in our society as a whole. I
Okay,
mean, you
Arlena,
you
here's a question. Here, look.
mhm.
The amount of rape that happens in the military is very high. You can address that because I've never been in the military and I haven't looked at those statistics.
It's no
So
more
I don't know.
high it's no more high in the military than it is in general society. And I don't know where you got that from, but I would like to see that report.
Do you think it seems more because they're more prominent in the news?
It's possible, but
I genuinely don't know.
I could tell you from my experience. I spent 8 years as a United States Marine. I was a military police officer. I got called to many, many different scenarios, different
Uh-huh.
things. Um, of my 8 years, I responded to one rape that was legitimate.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, California. That is the largest Marine Corps base population-wise. Size-wise, 29 Palms, or the Stumps as we like to call it, is the
mhm.
largest Marine Corps base, but population-wise, Camp Pendleton is the largest with the largest population.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 8 years, I responded to one legitimate rape. The rest of them were accusations
Okay.
and were found to be not true. So there are
So everything
accusations.
went through the proper procedures?
Correct.
Okay.
There were accusations, and they were either the woman said, no, I lied, or it was found after testing that there was nothing there. And you can't say, well, I took a bath or I took a shower and washed it all out because you don't wash all that out. There is some remnants. And if it was a rape, usually it consists of um, bruising or tearing, or there's other identifiers that you could tell whether it was
Mhm.
rape or not.
But I would definitely say, rape is definitely under toxic masculinity. I would definitely
Absolutely.
say that is one of those that there
That
is no
is,
question. I don't care what political party you are. I don't care, where you fall economically. Everyone agrees, rapey bad, rapey toxic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
It's bad across the board.
And Glenzer actually, I would like to know this too. I genuinely would. I wonder how people who use the term toxic masculinity as it's defined today, would define acceptable masculinity? That is a good question.
That's a very good question.
I never hear anyone really say, other than adding what I consider more feminine traits. And yeah, I am going to talk that way because let's face it, feminine and masculine doesn't necessarily mean male and female. It just means the energy and the association of that. But like, men being more sensitive, men being more, but you don't really hear that much.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it has been talked about for years, men getting in touch with their feelings. That's been talked about for, my
years.
God.
Jeez.
Decades.
I remember hearing about that when I was little. So
decades. So that's nothing new. I'm talking about, yes, what would be acceptable masculinity? And can you define masculinity? That's another thing. We always do it on the bad things. We never do it on the good traits, the good things, because we are afraid today in society to use these terms, gendered terms, masculine and feminine, even though it's got nothing to do with gender per se. But anyway, that's a really good question. I'd love to know that.
That's a great question. And Archer, I'm there with you. I also do not feel that women should serve on the front lines, but that is also a conversation for another day.
Yes, that's a whole, that will be fun. That one will be fun. And also someone says, my dad worked with cadets. There were mostly lots of consented relationships. I mean, we know shitty things are going to happen. That's just the nature of stuff. Shitty things are going to happen. And what do we do when those shitty things happen? We deal with them. But to say a whole group of people that are like this, but maybe one or two or three have a shared trait, that means they're all lumped in to the shitty. I just can't vibe with that because how many times would I have been lumped in with shitty? Maybe somebody thinks I'm too loud or doesn't like the fact that I, drop F-bombs or thinks I share too much online. Well, maybe that turns them off. And maybe one day they're going to start a campaign. Oh, that obnoxious redhead over there who streams with that intolerant blonde. They need to be canceled. When all we're doing is just trying to have conversations. We're not trying to offend anyone. We're not trying to point fingers. We're just having open conversations that we don't see a lot of it happening. But yet, if someone's going to think we're toxic, are they going to cancel us? And why? Because they don't like our behavior because it may not be to their taste. That's some of the toxic masculinity that's lumped in there is just shit that's kind of crass and maybe not somebody's taste. It's not the serious stuff that everybody can agree on and everyone should agree on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know. Oh, us in the gay community, use feminine and masculine. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. It's just easy to use those terms, isn't it? Most people get what you're saying. Acceptable masculinity under the definition. It says C.
Oh my God, not that thing.
Oh God, Ezra's got issues, y'all. Poor
Big
Ezra.
time issues.
And he can't run.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, Larry. Doesn't know how to run. The running, they have to CGI that in or something. I don't know. And Arlena, oddly, there are actually some special forces units where women can actually be even better than men. They're just not combat roles. Oh, I believe that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I totally believe that.
Like, admin. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
And hi, Arlena. Anyway, I think what we need to take from this conversation is, yes, there are those toxic things, those men that are just overly aggressive, those men that think, that are really, misogynist. They're easy to spot. They're easy to pick apart. They're easy to, but the men who share off jokes, so do women. But the men who, get together by the water cooler and have, off-color conversations, so do women. The men that says, oh, ooh, what color lipstick are you wearing? You are just so beautiful. Can I marry you? I've had that actually happen on my own doorstep.
Yeah.
I could have gotten all in his face and said, fuck you, and you pissed me off, and you're just, it was just an older guy trying to flirt. And I'm like, I'm married, but thank you. And the lipstick is called, I don't know, Hoochie Red or whatever the hell it was called. I can't remember.
Hoochie Red. Oh my God. Look
it
at,
was like
oh my God,
Wild
Chris
Rose. I don't
Persia.
know.
Chris Persia. Oh my God.
Intolerant blonde, obnoxious redhead. Arwen, don't worry, they're talking about Amy Schumer and Kathy Griffin.
Oh my God.
Oh my
That's
God, I
hilarious.
love it. But and one more, let's see. But also let men cross stitch because it's fun as hell. It is fun as hell. I know straight men who cross stitch. Nobody says shit to them. Nobody says shit. And you know what? If they put it on the internet and some asshole on the internet makes a comment, then that's on the asshole. That doesn't mean a whole group of people needs to be branded.
Exactly.
We're trying to get away from groups of people being lumped together. That's what we have been working for since the fucking Civil War in this country.
Yeah.
It had a, the big stand was in the 60s. It is 2023 and we've gotten away from that. And now we're going back to that. It's just, we're going in the wrong direction in the evolution of our society. And sometimes we just got to shrug shit off. If somebody says something questionable to you, you just got to shrug it off. Either say something to them about it or shrug that shit off. But don't be canceling every other guy because, maybe they've made an off-color comment 2 years ago too or whatever.
Or, oh my God, they have a calendar of swimsuit models in their office. Come on now.
Arwen, I apologize. It does time flirting on the front door. I'm still new. Nobody was willing to purchase any product. Oh, are you an older black guy who was pushing a lawnmower, Chris? Is that who you were? You were so nice.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Anyway,
I'm dead. And I've really got to go to the powder room, but I'm trying to wait until we.
All right, we'll close it out. Is there anything we need to add? What's going on tomorrow? Any back tube tomorrow?
I think back tube tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Just stay tuned. You'll get the notification if we do. But Saturday, definitely back tube.
Yep. And if y'all are into gaming and you want to watch the new Final Fantasy 16, Fat Steven has been streaming it on his YouTube channel and on his Rumble. So just throwing that out there for what it's worth. And I will see y'all tomorrow morning on Loki's.
Yeah, with
me and Dave Bob. Yes,
Dega and Dave Bob. I'm so excited to watch tomorrow.
I absolutely will, Martin. I absolutely will. I enjoy these discussions. I think it's great when people come in good faith and just have a good talk. Lady Miss.
Lady Miss.
Anyway, all right, y'all. Oh, shit. I need to, hang on. Let me find my, all right. Okay, we're going to play the intros, the outro, and we're going to get out of here. So, Arlena could powder room. So,
yes.
Bye, y'all. Have a great night.
Love y'all. Mwah.
If you don't have money.